Well, we got a few things to talk about. That's why we called you together. Let me address, I guess, one of the things that's surely a hot button right now, and that is the conduct of a class of young people. You know that the photo of the basic training class number 18 cadets. And maybe, and or others that were associated with conduct that is anything but allowable. I would tell you in the strongest way that I could possibly say something, we should, and we do, condemn these actions in every way, shape, form, or fashion. There's a statement here, and Jeff Sandy is here somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but Jeff will, there he is. And I'll turn Jeff over to you that can answer more in-depth questions. But the long and the short of this whole thing is, I'm sure our secretary feels exactly the same as I, but my first reaction was just simply this. We're a proud state, and we've got a diversification of a lot of different people within our state. First and foremost, this is intolerable to every single breathing human being within this state. And it is absolutely my great, great pleasure to say that not only are we not going to tolerate it, but any that we can find that were involved in it, whether it be just a stupid act or not, it is absolutely has to be, the net of everything's got to be dismissals, terminations, and we're moving through the process as expediently as we possibly can. But I would tell everyone just this. It would be easy for me to say this. Now, guys, sure, it's a bad thing, but we got to move on. But I don't say that. And the reason I don't say that is just this. Our nation suffered through the terrible, terrible practices of the Nazis that caused pain to people throughout this world like you can't imagine. And to just say, well, we got to move on past this and move on. I don't want you to move on past it because it's just that important. And so at the end of the day, it's so unacceptable, it should be condemned to the highest degree. I do every single bit of that. And at the same time, I fully recognize how much and how hurtful this is to lots and lots and lots of people, including me. It's shameful. So, with that, I'm going to leave this, and I'll answer your questions as best I can, or really and truly, I'll turn you over to Secretary Sandy, who can probably answer the questions on specific employees and so on like that better than I. Now, there is a bit of good news, and it's really good news. And Senator Blair, I can't see anymore. You're hiding behind a tree. Come on up here. You can sit up here and talk to us. But this is a finance guru that's been around here a long, long time. And just grab you one of those chairs there. But our good senator here, and I have probably wrestled from time to time on different things, but at the same time, we have complimented one another over and over and over as well. But what I'm talking about now is just this, when we tweeted out about this, and so you already know about it and everything, but we went into the marketplace with the great work of our tax and revenue department here and everything. We went into the marketplace with our road bonds. Now, just think about it, and I've got to be really, really proud of this, and I'm only proud because I'm the leader of the band, but at the same time, whether it be Craig or Dave or Mark or whomever, all the different people that are putting in the licks at the highways and all that kind of stuff, they're doing amazing, amazing work. You just think about it, there's been 500 of these projects that have been completed that span over 1,100 miles of roadways. It's amazing. Since November the 7th, and on October the 7th, 2017, and on that historic date, we passed a road bond by 73% of the vote, told the voters we would not raise any additional taxes. We have not. And so what has happened is lots of goodness. Now, the real goodness is just this, is we anticipated from then. We're going to the marketplace with $600 million worth of bonds. $600 million. And what we're going to do is we're going to, hopefully, you would normally go with 600 and hope you get 600. Well, with the interest rates low, with the state, the bonding agencies, the state ratings and all that kind of stuff now, and where we're doing and what's going on and everything, lo and behold, we come back with $746.5 million, a premium of $146.5 million. Now this good man, when we told him of such and he heard of such, he called immediately to say, and Craig, you tell him what you called to say, when you take over from here, if you'd like, or if you'd...
Well, you go a little bit further, then I'll...
Okay. Well, basically, I got word that Craig had called over to Bray and said, this is a big, big deal. A big deal, and we've got to make sure everybody understands the magnitude of just how big a deal this is. Now you take over.
Well, we go back in history just a little bit, too. Our first bond sale for the $800 million brought in an additional $131 million, an interest rate of 3.5, something like that, to effective rate. This one being $600 million brought in 146, so that's $200 million left on that. And keeping in mind that it's been pay as you go, the Department of Highways, the governor's office has been doing an absolutely great job of being able to get the roads fixed and the work being done. But this is going to make it so that we can go even further on it. This is one of the, and the governor's right, him and I get into it from time to time, but I never fail to give praise when the work is getting done well. And this is one of these times, without question about it, that it's phenomenal. What we're doing in this state is absolutely phenomenal, and I applaud you, your office, the Department of Highways, and the entire legislature because of the work that they've been doing to grant the flexibilities that you need to be able to do this job and to be able to take care of the people of West Virginia, all while not raising taxes. And that's a key ingredient for it.
I'm clapping for that too. No, well, I can't say any better. And I really pass on all the accolades back, to our great Senate, our great House, all these great legislatures and everything, because today is, from time to time we're going to bicker. That's what we should do. But this is great stuff. Great, great, great stuff. And the bottom line of the whole thing is, we've done all this work on the secondary roads, but there's still a ton to do. There's still a bunch to do. Well, here's a whole bunch of extra money that you can do a ton more. Now, there's another way to look at it, which is really great too. Sure, we're a little bit behind from the standpoint of our, and I want to talk just a second about that, but we're a little bit, and it's minuscule. in the whole scope of everything from the standpoint of where we are per the budget at this point in time, it's minuscule. You know, it's slightly under, I think it's slightly under $40 million, you know, and the net of that whole thing is, I think we're at 97.8% of estimates. But the other thing you remember you're doing, you're comparing, you know, you carried in the 2019 numbers, which were historic beyond belief, and you're pacing with those numbers close to those numbers. You know, so it's really phenomenal. And right now in December, if I could report to you, I hope I'm not stepping out, you know, I'll do it anyway, because I just want to tell you, right, if we close December out right this second, December would be 11 million ahead of budget right now. And so we don't know how that's going to come out at the end of the day, but December's pacing a little bit ahead. These guys, in what they're doing to be able to come up with these numbers and get them this close, and I say all these guys, you know, because Craig's been in this business a long time as well, you know, and so for them to be able to get these numbers that close, unbelievable. But think about this just a second. What if I were to say to you, well, guys, hold on here. We just picked up $146.5 million. It in itself is a surplus. It in itself is an absolute free surplus. So now, guys, we're 100 million ahead of numbers, you know, but we don't want to look at it that way. What we want to do is we want to pocket this, and we want to get ahead on the other numbers as well. So, from our standpoint today, I don't want in any way to diminish what is bad, just plain bad. I don't want to say this trumps that in any way. No way. No way. There's nothing that I can come up with that trumps that. That's bad. But we do have some good news to report about this state of West Virginia, and I appreciate Senator Blair and him coming, you know, to just kind of, because he's been around longer than I, and, you know, he's a lot older than me, and, you know, so he's a lot better shape too, probably. Okay, that's all I got.
Governor, before we get to the correction stuff, because I think that'll be the bulk of the questions, what is your prediction or your gut feeling right now in terms of that possible $100 million budget cut, or are we likely not going to see that happen?
You're likely not to see that happen today, for sure. And but I am still very, very hopeful that we do not have to go there. But we're watching it every minute, and if we have to go there, we're poised to be able to do so.
Governor, the state has had a shortage of corrections officers, and you've increased their pay to help attract more. What does it say about these couple dozen that have been hired, about the talent you're able to attract to this position?
Now say the last part again. I really can't hear. I'm sorry.
The people that you're able to get for these positions, what does it say about their skills and attributes based on the actions of these people who are going through the basic training?
Well, let me say this, that you know, and I can't believe I forgot this, but every night before I go to bed, every night, you know, I read a chapter in the Bible. And I was going to bring my Bible with me today, because 2 days ago when I was reading, it said it was all about not following somebody else's bad behavior. And it was talking about the penalties in life for following somebody's bad behavior. Now, you know, and I know too, that there's some here that just went along with the band. That's all there is to it. There's penalties for bad behavior. You know, there's penalties for following bad behavior. Are these people bad people that were just We just happen to get a crop of bad people? I doubt that. I doubt that in every way.
Okay, I kind of want to ask the inverse of that question too. Obviously, the point he's making is you've had, obviously in 2017, we had an emergency call in regards to shortfall of employment with correctional officers. And so we've had incentives put in place to recruit correctional officers. This might be more of a question for Secretary Sandy if he's back there, but in regards to that, I've heard from retired correctional officers who believe that at least over the last few years that training standards have really kind of gone down. It kind of had more of a military style training for correctional officers. Now it's a little bit more civilian based and not based on some of that discipline that normally you would see for military style training. And that ultimately has led to the situation we're dealing with today. What would you have to say to that, or Secretary Sandy?
Well, I'm going to welcome Secretary Sandy up here. Come on, Jeff. But I will say this as he's on his way. I don't buy that, and I'll bet you that he is absolutely adamantly denying that. The reason I say that is because I know him. I know of his background, and I know how strenuous he is, and I know how many hurdles and all of the successes we've had in corrections. Now, I don't know specifically how to answer your question other than I know him. But go ahead, Jeff.
Sir, that is absolutely incorrect. The training program has completely been revamped. We've worked with the West Virginia Supreme Court in the juvenile individuals. We have hired retired West Virginia state troopers who in fact have worked at the academy. The academy is a consolidated academy today, meaning that juvenile services, prison, and jails are all in the same place, so they all get the same training. So whoever your source is, we feel it's one of the best training programs in the country.
Secretary, what does it cost to train per CO? I've heard $50,000, and if we're going to eventually dismiss 20 plus people, we've just taken $1 million in state money. Might it be better used to retrain them since they're in the training process and not lose the revenue that it costs to train all these people by firing them?
You would think that would be an easy question, but what I tell you is, since we are retaining more correction officers, that prices went down. So I can get back to you, sir, with that cost.
Governor, are you going to release the identities of these people in this picture?
I think Jeff, that's
Thank you.
or Secretary, Mr. Secretary, that's your call. But listen, my feeling is really simple. My feeling is easy to read. I believe I'd go back to my foundation. I'm all about the truth. I'm all about honesty. I'm not about hiding something. I'm not about trying to hurt somebody. But the facts are the facts. I'm not standing there with my arm up. I'm not standing there doing this and that. And if somebody is willing to do that, then really and truly they need to be suffering the consequences. That's all there is to it. And so to answer your question, I don't know the legalities from the standpoint of what I can do as far as releasing the names and all that kind of stuff. I don't know the technicalities of what I can do through human resources or whatever like that that I legally can do. And I'm surely not going to do something that's illegal, but at the same time, those people need to suffer the consequences of their deeds. Remember my saying, judge me by my deeds. And that's all there is to it. That's just how I feel.
We know the CO that they were saluting, her name is Carrie Bird. Has she been one who is terminated now?
Sir, we are not releasing that name until the investigative report, which is being worked on as we speak, is given to the governor's general counsel, Brian Abraham. Once they receive the report, Counsel Abraham, working with the governor, will make that determination.
Her name is on the current payroll. Can you confirm that she is an officer there, or instructor there, Carrie Bird?
We will refrain from answering that. And I'll tell you, and I'll add this, even though you did not ask, we are concerned about potential threats to the individuals from other type groups, and we are currently documenting that. So that is why we're talking with an abundance of caution.
Secretary, it's come to our attention that a group of faith leaders actually got to see the unredacted picture before everyone else. They're not state employees, from my understanding. Is there a reason why that was done, and who made that decision?
That decision was made by the DMAP's legal counsel and Commissioner Jivenen's team. Commissioner Jivenen's team has done an excellent job working with religious leaders throughout the state. In fact, in July at the Appalachian Bible College, we're going to have another graduation class. We have worked with entities, nonprofits throughout the state, building homes for people, remodeling homes. So Corrections has an excellent relationship with religious leaders throughout the state. So that is why we wanted to get with them. We wanted to get their thoughts and opinions, and those opinions were used in the way we progressed in the investigation.
Who were those faith leaders, and can we identify them in some way?
I would not want to identify them because I did not ask them for their permission to release their name. But I will ask them, and I will give you my card after this.
I'll give you one of them. It's Dan Anderson is the guy that runs Appalachian Bible College. And he's a good man. They have a program at Mount Olive, is that right? They have a program there with the inmates and does a really good job.
Governor, you said you wanted these people to suffer consequences, but I mean, even if they are fired, that sounds comparatively like a pretty light consequence to suffer for a Nazi salute on a state seal, no?
Well, I've got to temper any of my personal feelings with the legality of what I can do. You know, I mean, you've got to understand, I'm not the king, I'm not God, I am just your governor, and there are constraints that we have got to comply with, and I'm going to pass on to our secretary and my general counsel and lots of people to guide and direct us in the right way. I think really and truly, at the end of the day, it's a disgraceful thing, and it's an act of stupidity in a lot of different ways.
Secretary Sandy, most of these news organizations here, many of them have FOIA requesting an unredacted photo, so because it is technically a public record. Any idea what we're going to get an unredacted version?
Our legal team has been working on this matter, and we're allowed by law to balance public safety versus releasing the identity of those. And as I indicated, we've received numerous communications by both telephone and email. So we will continue to evaluate this and use that information to making that determination.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what the 3 employees who were fired did to warrant that quick termination rather than a suspension?
They were employees that had been with the state, and based on the West Virginia Department of Personnel guidelines, their conduct in the training of that class warranted the immediate termination.
Specifically, what did they do?
We are going to wait until Council Abraham gets that report, and the governor has the opportunity to read that report before those contents, and they will make the decision to release that report or not.
Do you have a timeline on when that's going to happen?
Our goal is to have that report to the governor's office before Christmas. And I'd like to state something to be proud of here in the time of despair is the governor supported the consolidation of 3 agencies. Prior to the governor coming here, there was an investigator who reported to the superintendent of that facility, so you had 1 investigator per facility. The consolidation formed an inspector general with corrections, in which we hired a retired judge with over 20 years experience. We were able to interview 51 individuals in 72 hours. So this investigation, think about it, this occurred last week, and today we're writing the investigative report. It's outstanding work by the men and women who are in the Inspector General with the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
If their identities are never known, what's to say to the public that these guys didn't just go get jobs as cops somewhere?
Department of Personnel There will be a report filed with the Department of Personnel with the results of what this individual did. If the individual comes to the state and says, what did this individual do? There will be documentation in that file.
And to the governor, you said you might not be king and you might not be able to disclose their identity. Is that a failure of policy if somebody can do a Nazi salute on a state seal, on a state document, and be completely shielded from public disclosure as to who they are?
I didn't say that they were shielded, did I? I did not say that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I said that I do not know what the agencies, what I can legally do. I do not know yet what I can legally do. I said these people deserve to be exposed. They do. They absolutely do. I don't know that I can legally do that. And that's right where I'm at.
Sir, our administration inherited lawsuits from bad business decisions before we took office. We are trying to avoid that by going by the book, doing due process that is properly handled. So the governor during the second term or future governors after his second term will not have to deal with our mistakes today. So we are doing it by the book and using quality legal counsel to make sure that we're progressing correctly.
Can you tell us a little bit more about where that hail bird thing comes from? Why were they saying that?
That will be in our report, which may or may not be disclosed. But again, I'm confident it will be, but we'll see.
Governor, does Secretary Sandy have your complete confidence, and is it your intention that he stay on the job?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Secretary Sandy's done an amazing job in corrections, and unfortunately, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that work in state government, and sometimes, you know, people can get really misguided and do something really, really stupid, and that's what's happened here.
Governor, is whoever took this photo and then who printed it in this, I'm guessing it's a graduation booklet of some sort, at fault here in allowing it to happen?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Governor's Council may get upset with me, but I'm going to tell you that person's terminated. So you got something out of me today.
Are they one of the three?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Governor, this is the latest flash in the pan, but there's a whole spread of outstanding lawsuits alleging wrongful actions from corrections officers. There's a pretty steady practice of state police settling lawsuits filed against them. Do you think there's a culture problem in DMAPs?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think, you know, I think, again, if I were just to tell you the layman's approach to how I look at things, we got down to a point in time where we were seeking people and paying a level that made it very difficult to attract maybe the people that we needed in these jobs. And so from that, naturally, with the rate of turnover and all that kind of stuff, you're going to have way more problems than you would have that we are looking to breed into our process today. But absolutely, without any question, I just wish that you could step back and think of the successes of corrections and all the different things that Secretary Sandy has done. It is unbelievable. And so it's from the standpoint of the economies of it, from the standpoint of the safeties of it, from the standpoint of the drug reductions of it, all the different things that we've done is really impressive. Now, it really is. I do not think that we have a per se cultural type problem, you know, that we have, you know, state policemen that are doing inappropriate things, or we have corrections people that are doing inappropriate things, and therefore West Virginia is not a good place and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
And sir, I'd like to comment, since the governor said positive things about me. There is not a correctional department in the United States of America that has as their commissioner a former United States attorney who prosecuted wrongdoings in federal prisons. We have one of the best in the nation. No nonsense, the direction, and I'll give you this, under the Governor Justice Administration, inmate on inmate assaults has dropped close to 50%, unheard of. Payouts by BRIM have decreased. The efficiencies have increased. For example, regional jails. There is no regional jail building. The counties are no longer paying for a building here in Charleston. They are consolidated with the other. There's so many positive things that, as the governor has stated, the state should be proud of what Commissioner Jividen and her team has accomplished. And we're willing to sit down with you anytime and discuss those.
We know from what we can tell or discern from the picture, and it's hard to, obviously, because their faces are obliterated, but it appears there are at least a couple of African Americans in this class, maybe someone who's Hispanic. Some of us know that one of the females involved is a lesbian. We're talking about, groups of people that have been particularly oppressed over the years. Does it shock you that they would participate in such a thing?
That will be in the investigative report, and I have been briefed on some of the interviews of these individuals, and I believe that will be a wonderful opportunity for the Governor's Council to make that determination to release what happened during the month-plus time of training.
Governor, your any thoughts on that question?
I'm not often speechless, but if you're a Hispanic, African American, I just don't know. I just can't fathom. I can't fathom this action. That's and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter who you are, of what group or whatever you may be. It just doesn't. It's just unfathomable. And I can see where you're going with this is maybe that, well, how in the world, it really seems particularly bad, if this were to come from an African American, but it's no worse to me than coming from anyone. It's bad, period. That's all there is to it.
To what degree do people in corrections training get cultural sensitivity training? You'd have to tell people not to do this, but what aspect of their basic training is relating to different kinds of people?
Thank you for that question. They receive training even on white supremacy. So they had that during their block of training. Thank you.
Can you give an example of what that training might be like? Is there a way to describe it briefly?
How to identify white supremacy groups, anti-American groups, terrorist organizations, drug activity, gangs, etc.
Secretary Sandy, do you think any of these people should be able to work in law enforcement again?
I share the governor's position from when he found out about this. And as a person, as a former federal agent, there's a statute called United States versus Giglio. Every time that officer would be required to testify in court, or if an incident occurred, our state government would be required to hand over that picture in our investigative report to the judge and the defense attorney. That would be detrimental. So that's the big picture here. That would be extremely detrimental to the prosecution of any type case. United States versus Giglio.
Can you walk us through how you learned of the photo?
Yes, and that's a very good point. Both the governor and my fathers were World War II veterans, and when Commissioner Jividen called me, my father has been honored with a monument in the city park of Parkersburg. He landed Utah Beach on D-Day. I was looking at his face when Jividen said, check your email. I saw that and I said, what in the world? And we mobilized, got the team together, and as I won't rehash it, but state should be proud of what those investigators did. I mean, Thanksgiving holiday, weekend, they got it done, and they did a quality job. So I found about Wednesday before Christmas, and Thanksgiving, and we worked on it. And last night, about 5, we got the last interview done. Tremendous job, and the investigative report will be fantastic, showing the details of what occurred.
But we don't know if that will be released publicly yet.
That is above my pay grade, sir.
Governor, have you thought about how you're going to roll that out?
How I'm going to roll it out? What do you mean by that?
Put out the report in full, or are you going to redact it? Do you have a strategy?
My strategy is so simple. I mean, all you have to do is just watch what I say and everything. My strategy is just this. Anything that I can legally, and I have been advised by counsel in every way that I can legally put out, I'll put out. Period. That's all there is to it. You know, I mean, I just can't find any fiber in me that has sympathy written over it. You know, I mean, I don't see that. You know, I mean, you can't sympathize with stupidity. You can't sympathize with bigotry or something that somebody's doing that's intentional. You know,
Governor, if I may, one of our assistant commissioners is Mike Coleman. Mike Coleman was a hostage at Moundsville that was freed by Governor Moore. In his 30-plus years of service, he states that the least number of vacancies in the best corrections has been under the Justice Administration. As this March, St. Patrick's Day, will be my 40th year of public service, the men and women of corrections, when we came here, $20,000 a year, people were calling me crying they were on food stamps. We eliminated jobs, got the base to 22. The governor and these people here fought for us, and we got a 2, 2, and 2, and the governor gave 5%, 5%. They're at $28,000 now. These people are motivated. They are doing a job. They're recruiting for us. And again, the least vacancies ever in the last 30 years is today. So we are proud, and it's a shame why this was so hurtful is because this class, it takes 10 good things to overcome one bad, and I promise you we have more than 10 good things that have occurred today.
Without tax increases.
that's right too. Well, I mean, that's a novelty coming from you, Craig. I got to end by saying this. I would welcome, whether it be Bloomberg or whether it be any of y'all or whether it be anyone, I would welcome you to go spend a day with Jeff Sandy and look and be fair and look at what has happened and where we are today. You talk about a situation where one bad apple spoils the whole group and everything. This is that. This is really that. There has been incredible, incredible work done in West Virginia. We should be very proud, very, very, very proud. You don't have a situation in West Virginia that is surrounded by this kind of stuff at all. You don't have a culture, in my opinion. You don't have anything like that whatsoever. However, I'm going to go back to just what I said in the beginning. All that good does not eradicate or sweep under the rug this bad. It doesn't. It just doesn't. And that's why I say I'm not here to tell you good so you won't report the bad. There's so many people in this world, including me, that the bad affects. Absolutely, it should be reported. I thank you. I really do. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.